This is Arise America.
Now, as the number of racially motivated hate attacks continues to rise across the country, the Biden administration has outlined new steps to tackle such crimes. At a news conference on Friday, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland said the Department of Justice will issue guidance to help law enforcement agencies, government officials, and community groups raise awareness of the problem. Garland said $10 million in grant funding would go to support community-based approaches to preventing and addressing hate crimes.
In a pattern or I am pleased to announce that the department is releasing $10 million in grant solicitations for new programs to address hate crimes. $5 million of this grant funding was authorized under the Jabara Hire No Hate Act. These grants will support better hate crime reporting to the FBI and will fund states to establish and run reporting hotlines for victims of hate crimes. The other $5 million will go to supporting community-based approaches to preventing and addressing hate crimes. Confronting unlawful acts of hate is a matter of moral urgency for all of us here today, and it is a charge deeply rooted in the Justice Department's founding. As I have noted many times before, this department was founded in 1870 in the aftermath of the Civil War with the first fundamental purpose to fight the white supremacist attack on black civil rights after the Civil War. 152 years later, the task to combat hate-fueled violence remains central to the department's mission. We do this because it is our legal obligation, and we do this because it is our moral obligation.
Attorney General Merrick Garland speaking there. Well, for more on tackling hate crime in the United States, let's cross live to Palm Beach County in Florida, where we are joined by Elizabeth Leiba, the host of the Ebony Media podcast, as well as founder of the Black History and Culture Academy. Elizabeth, thank you very much indeed for joining us this evening. We're now seeing a hate crime take place almost once an hour. That's according to the latest statistics. I mean, last year in big cities, the rates grew by a staggering 39%. Why the rise?
Well, there really isn't one singular reason, and that's what makes tackling hate crime so difficult, particularly in the Black community. As we saw, Merrick Garland explained that amount of funding is going to be funneled into communities to try to combat hate crime, but it's a little bit more challenging to really identify specifically for Black community members why this is happening, because there isn't one singular event. When the Asian community has been targeted, there was some rhetoric that happened on a national level in terms of COVID-19. There are certain things even in the Latin community where we think about immigration being a firestorm issue, the border, Mexico. Really, the only thing that we can really focus on would be George Floyd's murder and a lot of public outcry, a lot of folk in the Black community standing up and really being vocal about police brutality, about inequity, and the hate crimes, basically from just my observations and research and everything that I've seen across the board, really is a backlash. And we've seen this time and time again throughout history, through the civil rights movement, really all the way back to Reconstruction, when the Black community has been very vocal, has stood up, has addressed issues of inequity, there typically is a backlash that occurs. And I really see that these hate crimes is a part of that. People feeling as though the replacement theory and some of these different conspiracy theories about Black folk trying to be dominant in society has led to a lot of paranoia and people acting out in these white supremacist attacks against innocent people, like what we saw in Buffalo.
And you mentioned the money that's going to the communities by the Attorney General, but do you think social media companies should take more responsibility? Because you mentioned the conspiracy theories, and if you go on Twitter or Facebook and just type in, white supremacy or the replacement theories, you get people that are absolutely believe it 100% that this is happening, and these articles are flying around cyberspace.
1,000%. Social media is a big area where people are getting information, and a lot of this information is misinformation. A lot of this information is conspiracy theories. Even with the situation in Buffalo, the shooter had posted his manifesto, had shared with about 15 people that he was going to be committing this act. And these rhetorics, this information is being put out there. I definitely feel like social media has to step up. Big companies have to, like a Twitter, Meta, any of these social media companies, they really have to be more mindful and be more aware of exactly what kind of toxic misinformation is being spread on their platforms.
Well, Elizabeth, sadly we've got a special report coming up, so we have to cut this interview short, but there is a lot more to discuss, so hopefully we can arrange to bring you back on the programme at some other time and discuss it in full. But thank you very much indeed for your time this evening.
This is Arise America.